So Sam Darnold, Christian McCaffrey, come on, tell me, what was it like? Come on, give me a little hint.
No, Christian McCaffrey is really good. And I know people know that, but I hadn't seen him in person. The way he runs routes, he's like a receiver. Like it shocked me. And his burst, it almost like he was a rocket, like somebody put a propeller behind him, a booster, and he just takes off. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed. And just the fact that Sam just gets with the Panthers and the best player on the team comes out and works out with him, I expect great things from the both of them.
By the way, it's when you get traded or let go by a franchise, Darnold said, it stings, right? And Joey and I have talked about this. If I got traded to another network, you start to, how do you not lose confidence as a pro athlete when you're traded?
It happens, man. For Sam, it's once he has success, like he'll lose every athlete. I don't care who you are, the best athletes, everybody has lost their confidence. And the only way you can get it back is to perform up to your expectations. It's not everybody else's, it's your expectations. As long as he performs up to his expectations, which I believe are higher than anybody can put on him, he'll be fine. But it's going to take a while for him to get back to the Sam Darnold of USC, feeling like I can do whatever, whenever, and however. But with the weapons that he has in Carolina, the Jets are going to look back and say, oh, Sam can really play. We didn't surround him with the guys needed to give him the success that he should have had.
Yeah. So Mark Sanchez said yesterday he likes that Zach Wilson from BYU is great in chaos. And I said, in life, whatever you're great at, you'll lean into. If you have a great singing voice, you'll sing in the car, you'll sing in the shower, you'll join a chorus. We all lean into what we're good at. And I said, what worries me about Zach Wilson, who's better in chaos, so was Brett Favre, is that Brett Favre often leaned into chaos. He didn't want to learn pre-snap. He's like, I'm not going to learn a new offense. I'm going to be a gunslinger. Big Ben's a lot like that. Ben's kind of good in chaos. Ben's never really been a sophisticated pre-snap guy. Is that if you're in chaos too much as a quarterback, then you're not audibling out of it. And that's my bigger issue. Peyton Manning wasn't in chaos. When were there players in your career, maybe Ocho was like this, that they actually perform better off script? And how does it land? How does that land for you? And how does it land as a teammate?
Out of all the guys that I played with, it would have to be Chad. And Chad you didn't want to put Chad in a box, meaning, for instance, I'll give you an example. We would install a new play and it would be, okay, in too high, we're going to run it like this. When I say two high safeties, so in cover 2, we want to run a route like this. Cover 4, we want to run it this way. So that they're both too high, but we're going to run the route differently depending on what coverage. Single high, we're going to run the route like this. So that's 3 different ways we can run that route. So Chad you just got to let Chad be an athlete. Chad's going to get open. And it might not be what we just talked about. It was too high, Chad. Cover 2. The middle of the field was open. He's still going to get open. But if you try to overcoach him, then it can kind of bog down his athleticism and just natural talent taking over.
Yeah. So we were talking about Julian Edelman. And most people think he won't get into the Hall of Fame. But my argument has always been there's a lot of guys, receivers on bad teams. And they pick up a lot of yards, 8 minutes to go against prevent defense. I like Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan trails in a lot of games with 8 to go. He may pick up 130 yards in the last 2 drives, and they're meaningless. Edelman, with 8 minutes to go, led for a decade. The Patriots led. They won 12, 13 games a year. So he was asked to block. So when you look at Edelman's numbers, they're true numbers. He didn't have junk yards. The system asked him, return punts, block. But in the biggest spots of his career, he was always better. He was great in Super Bowls, great in playoff games. And I look at him and I think, I know the numbers don't add up, but you're talking about in the history of the league, if you said slot receiver, I'd probably be like, yeah, Edelman. That's why, and I view him and I think, I don't care what position you play. If you're a top 2 or 3 at a position all time, that feels like a Hall of Famer to me. How do you view Edelman? Not a deep threat. Don't have to double cover him. Probably doesn't have the yards, the touchdowns. How do you view him having played in the NFL?
I can't put Julian Edelman in the Hall of Fame, and when he sees me, he's probably going to curse me out for this. And I like him. He's a good player, but he was a role player in that system. Now, let me ask you this question. Would you take Julian Edelman over Wes Welker? Would you take Julian Edelman over Hines? But he couldn't beat out Wes Welker. He was Wes Welker's backup for a long time. He couldn't beat Wes out. So they were on the same team, and he backed up Wes Welker. Well, he couldn't beat him out.
Well, he was like a 7th-round pick, and then he started returning punts. And then once they saw he could return punts, and Wes Welker was getting beat up on punts, then they let Edelman do more punts. I would argue this, that position, Welker and Edelman, has a lifespan. And the minute they thought Edelman was as good or better, because I think Edelman's better than Welker, then they moved off from him. But it did take Edelman, a college quarterback, a while to figure out New England's system. Is that fair?
100% is fair. And this is how I look at the Hall of Fame for me personally. This is are you a Hall of Famer? Are you not a Hall of Famer? When you played, I don't care. Like the stats thing, that doesn't matter. When you played and somebody says, Colin, Joy, name the top receivers in the league. You'll name 15, maybe 20 guys before you get to Julian Edelman. And so name the top quarterbacks in the league. Brady, Manning, when they were playing, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. If your name doesn't come up in the discussion, how can you be the Hall of Fame when it is the best of the best? When you say name the top DBs, Deion, Darrell Green, Champ Bailey. If your name cannot be brought into that topic of conversation, you're not a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Julian Edelman played well in the playoffs, but it's not just the playoff games. It's a totality of your entire career, not just the playoffs.
But if I said to you, best slot receivers ever, because I look at there's the DeAndre Hopkins on the outside. You want a tall, angular speed receiver. Those guys often don't run as good a routes. On the inside, I need route runners. I need blockers. So I look at him as a top 3 slot receiver ever. Do you?
Yes, Julian Edelman playing in a slot. Like he made plays. When the catch he made against Atlanta, I don't think anybody else makes that catch. That's going to be an incomplete pass. He made plays when they needed him to make plays. I'm not taking that away from him, but I just always believe, and I'll give you a prime, like Torrey Holt, he's not in the Hall of Fame. Isaac Bruce is not in the Hall of Fame. I believe they'll get in. Reggie Wayne isn't in the Hall of Fame. I believe he'll get in. One of the best receivers to ever play football, and I'll argue with anybody, Chad, he'll never get in the Hall of Fame. And no disrespect, Julian Edelman, he can't touch Chad when it comes to playing the wide receiver position. Not even close. Not even apples to oranges, apples to beans.
But okay, let me throw this out. But Chad didn't run good routes. Chad wasn't always
no. That's so disrespectful, Colin. Chad is one of the best route runners in the history of the NFL. History. Not when he played, history.
Well, did he block?
No.
All right.
No, he's not going to block.
Was he easy on quarterbacks or was he difficult?
He was easy on quarterbacks because he created a ton of separation. He was difficult because he would freelance a little too much.
All right. A little bit of a freelancer. Well, I'm not. The Hall of Fame has freelancers. You can be a freelancer. I'm okay with freelance. I'm not saying. By the way, I'm just making the argument that I think in sports, when you play for a great organization like Manu Ginobili with the Spurs or Klay Thompson with the Warriors, you sacrifice a lot of stats because you're going to be leading games late. You're going to hit the bench. I mean, when you play with Durant and Steph Curry, they're going to be nights Klay Thompson takes 9 shots. If he played in Charlotte, he'd take 24 and score 32. So I think, we look at Edelman and say he was elevated by the Patriots, and I think, yeah, to some degree, but I also think he didn't get any junk yards because they always led with 7.5 to go, and they just asked him, go block. Greg Jennings said that earlier. He said 7.5 minutes to go when he was in Green Bay. He put his blocking pads on. It's like, all right, guys, my day's done. I'm going to go block. See, now, when you played...
Greg Jennings was a hell of a receiver. Will he get to the Hall of Fame? If you ask me who would I take as a receiver, Greg Jennings or Edelman, I'm taking Greg.
All right. You don't like short slot guys. That's okay.
No, I want guys that can get open in any system. Like, if you can run routes and get open in any system, you can play. And that's, to me, is a good receiver. Can you get in the slot and get open? Can you go outside and get open? And to me, that's Hall of Fame. Can you do both? It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what team you're on. Can I put you outside and you run a comeback? Can you run a slant? Can you go in the slot and run a choice and option route? So that's how I look at things. And the best receivers that are T.O., he can do both. Randy Moss couldn't do both, but he was so good at one, it didn't matter.
All right, I'm done arguing. This was good. Hey, can you do me a favor? I never asked you to do me favors. Can you do me a favor?
I got you.
So do you know what the favor is going to be?
No, it doesn't matter. What you need?
Well, say hi to Sam Darnold. You tell him I said hi.
It's funny. We talked about you today. He asked me when I was going on the show, and I said today. He's like, does Colin like me? I said, Sam, shut the. You know he likes you. Just starts laughing. You know what he did say?
What?
He said, look how I have my hat. I always wear my hat to the front. True story.
How about that?
He said that today. He said that today.
I love Sam Darnold more today than any day ever.
TJ, you know what you're doing.
TJ.
Hey, Joy, no lie. We were sitting there and he was like, I have my hat to the front. And then Josh was like, so do I.
See, you're influencing the younger generation, Colin.
I would love for those guys. If they ever want to sit in this couch, I'll give them the hour. Whatever they want to promote, I'll give them the hour. Josh Allen and Sam Darnold.
I'll let them know.
All right.
Let them know for sure.
All right, buddy. Good seeing you.
You guys take care. Keep up the great work.
All right. We are influencing America. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.